Hey everyone, this is Anne with Let's Get Naked and another mini-sode. This one is going to be about the relationship between your soul and your ego. One of the things that I've learned recently in the last couple of years is really understanding that your ego, which is your personality, people call it different things, but your ego and your personality, what your persona is, should really be following your soul as your soul leads and not the opposite. We've gotten to this place in life where very few people, I think, lead with their souls. Everyone's leading with their ego. Everyone has these huge inflated egos, and a lot of people don't even realize that they have a soul that's kind of dragging around behind that. If you're able to kind of get curious about yourself and embark on your self-discovery journey, and realize that it should be the opposite, get curious about what that looks like. Your soul is actually your truth. So the ego is the things that are really fear-driven, fear-based, feeling like you have to put on for other people. Your soul is not like that. Your soul understands what its path is supposed to be. Your soul understands what its truth is. If you're able to listen to that, and that's kind of the whispers that we talk about, that's your soul that's telling you different things. Your soul is going to lead you in a way that is authentic, that feels good, that takes care of each other, that comes from a place of wanting to serve other people rather than serving yourself. The ego is very self-serving. It's very coming from this place of, it's kind of gross. You know, when you start really looking into it, it's pretty gross to watch what that ego will do, what fear-based that ego is. That ego is, look at this car that I have, look at this house that I have, look at this important job, and look at these people. But if you really dive into the people that you look at that are so incredibly into their own egos, I think you would discover that most of them are not happy. That's not a place that comes from like being fulfilled or feeling good about what it is that they're doing. Your ego has a role for sure, but it's meant to follow, not drive. For me, as I've really explored that concept and gotten to the point where I'm coming from a place of service and coming from a place of asking the big guy every morning to just put me wherever I can be of the most service, and then let my personality drag around behind it. Obviously, my personality has a role, but when you do a split that's more 90-10 the other direction, where it's your soul that's 90 and ego 10 rather than 90 ego, and you don't even realize your soul is there, it's a much more fulfilling life to come from. But you have to be willing to get self-aware to get to that point of even realizing, is this good for my ego? Is this good for my soul? When I'm making decisions now, or when I'm kind of let my whatever it is, experience that I'm in the middle of or something that strikes me, I do that kind of evaluation a little bit of, where am I feeling this? Am I feeling this in my soul? Is this feeding my ego? Because for me, I spent a lot of years in being very self-centered, really letting my ego run the show. It was on a very steady diet, and I did all sorts of things to make certain that it ate. And I look at it now and I just think, let that bitch starve. Like, it is completely fine. It is completely fine. Your personality is still going to be there, right? Your ego, it's not like when people say like the death of your ego. Sure, that's actually true, but not where you don't have an ego. That's who your personality is. That's, there's still a place for that, but let your soul lead that instead of, vice versa. Signs that your ego is leading the way: constant comparison or competition. That's an excellent one. As I've always said, as soon as you start comparing yourself to other people, everyone loses. Nobody needs that. Obsession with how things look instead of how they feel. Huge. Really, really evaluate that. Do you want that new car, or do you want these things that you look at and it's like, that's just feeding your ego? No, stop it. Fear of vulnerability or failure. Yeah, I think we should want to be vulnerable, not a fear of it. Needing external validation to feel whole. All of these things were things that were staples in my life. And looking back now, I can't unsee that. I can't unknow that. So that was a really big thing for me. Reacting instead of responding with intention. I think that's also, that defensiveness. Your ego is the one that's defensive because you're protecting what your version of reality is. People get very People get very sensitive when you start messing with their versions of reality, which I find to be completely fascinating as well. How do you recenter your life around the soul? Pause. Ask yourself, is this choice feeding my soul or my ego? Getting quiet. We've talked about that a lot, right? The soul speaks in stillness. Ego yells. The soul whispers. These are really amazing talking points. Practicing humility. Again, when I was back in a place where my ego was leading the charge, what was humility? Didn't even know. Had to really introduce myself to that. The universe did a great job of introducing us. Now I totally get it. Choosing love over fear. That's a really excellent one too. You know, soul decisions often feel peaceful, even if they're scary. Ego decisions are loud but fragile. Think about somebody's ego. You know, you got these big egotistical men as an example. You can just barely whack them on the shin and they fall. Pretty funny to me. Again, lots of different things going through my mind, lots of different stories. I'll save that for another day. And then reconnect to your purpose, right? What matters most when no one is watching. These are really important things to kind of be aware of and to get curious about. So that's all I'm going to say on that.